Dr. Paul Herkel here, coming at you with another health bite from the world of omega-3s and fatty acids. We know the brain is made up of over 60% fat. So for a long time, naturopathic doctors, medical doctors, scientists have been looking at good fats, specifically omega-3s, as beneficial for the brain. But there was one piece of evidence that was recently published in the Journal on Alzheimer's and Dementia, August 2025, that really shed a light on this. It's particularly on the reason that women have an increased risk for dementia, 2 to 3 times more than males. We've known this for a very long time, but the reason, unfortunately up to now, has not been known. And this may be a clue. Now, it's not definitive, but what this study did is that they looked at 841 different participants. Some of them had dementia, 306. Some of them had mild cognitive impairment, which is the stage before dementia. And then 370 were the healthy cognitive controls. And they looked at the omega levels, the types of fats in the brain. And what they found in a very specific group, only the women with dementia had lower levels of unsaturated fatty acids, basically omega-3s. And so this really was the first piece of evidence that the scientific community has seen that may explain why women are at that increased risk. Of course, there's probably other factors. For example, hormones is one that's cited quite often, but it's most likely multifactorial. We know that dementia is occurring as a process for decades before symptoms start. So this may also hold a key on things like prevention, because prevention is a lot more powerful than any sort of treatment. Obviously, this goes hand in hand with adequate lifestyle changes, particularly exercise. This is the reason sports like pickleball become so popular, is because not only are they great exercise and they're fairly low impact and intensity, but they also work the area of the brain called the cerebellum, which is really important for coordination. So any sort of racket sport's really good. From a dietary perspective, over and above optimizing omega-3 fatty acids, we've now kind of have an understanding that there's changes that are happening in the brain that are similar to diabetes. In fact, some researchers have coined the term type 3 diabetes. And so decreasing hyper-processed foods, ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, and refined foods that are going to further increase inflammation. We know inflammation's absolutely a key piece of the puzzle as well. But that kind of may influence males and females similarly. So back to the takeaways here, it seems like women have an increased need for omega-3s. So one final piece about the mechanism. A lot of times we think of omega-3s in terms of their benefit is that they influence lipids, they influence cholesterol, they decrease triglycerides. However, what this study did point out is that it seems like these benefits were happening independent of the actual cholesterol levels. It was happening actually through the influence on the blood-brain barrier and other neuroplastic mechanisms. So it's not that it was to do with bad cholesterol, which is also, I think, quite vindicating for cholesterol, and it's a very complex issue. It's not open and shut as a lower cholesterol, you get beneficial effects. Omega-3s do much more than just impact lipid levels. They improve neuroplasticity, which is actually the rebuilding processes that are happening in the brain to repair itself. They lower inflammation. The DHA component is actually a structure of the cellular membranes. And they also improve the blood-brain barrier, the interaction between the outside systemic world and the central nervous system. So hopefully you found this helpful as a little health bite for you.